Hey YouTube, welcome back to Ray's Rides. We are here again at Wollaston BMW in Northampton for bike review number 4, and it's going to be a quick one because I only got this for a few hours on Saturday. I can't get here quick enough to get the bike back on a Monday morning and get to work because I've got something on. So it's going to be a quick review this afternoon, and this time we have opted for the BMW R12 NineT. And it'll be interesting because although this is a review of the bike, I'm also going to be doing some comparisons on my BMW going to get these R12s and R9Ts all mixed up in this video, I'm telling you, but I'm going to be doing a comparison on the RNineT Urban GS I've got, and it's going to be interesting to see how this bike fares against it. So I'm going to get my helmet on, we'll get out on the road, and I'll see you in a minute. So today's review, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a quick one because, like I said, I've got the bike for a couple of hours, but we're going to head back home, and what I'm going to do is pick up my R9T and we'll compare the bikes side by side. But yeah, slightly different style of R9T because this is I suppose the more custom street bike. They all sit in the BMW Heritage range. But I'm just curious to see the differences of the new bike. I wanted to know if it's lost its character because my 9T, you know, it rattles and it shakes and it's got just a classic. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but there's something about it, and I want to see if these new R12s still have that soul. That's a good word. The soul of the old R9Ts, which I think were first released in 2013. So these are their direct replacements. The engines are exactly the same, I believe. Obviously, this one's been tweaked for, I think, the Euro 5 emissions and that. But yeah, sitting at the lights, it still burbles, it still snots at you and stuff like that, which is nice. What I do like about this one is you do get a rev counter on it, whereas my one, I've just got the speedo. You can spec these bikes up with the, I think it's £120 extra, but you can spec these bikes up with the digital dash, but I think that would take away a little bit of the character of the bike, so I'm actually glad this demonstrator's got the old school dials on there. But like you say, you've got the best of both worlds with a little bit of information as well. Right, well, we are just popping through Toaster on the way to my favourite walk around review top secret location outside of Whittlebury. What I will say on this, within 10 minutes of riding it, is they've definitely done a better job on the chassis and suspension. Well, maybe not a better job, but it's upgraded. The R9T that this replaces, the suspension is well, for me it's almost back braking, to be honest with you, whereas this, the suspension feels a lot plusher on there. And something I've noticed, and I thought there'd be a fuel gauge on here, and unless it's in the settings, which I can't get to at the moment because we're riding, but yeah, you've got all the information on the little LCD dash. Love it or hate it, I personally think it's good, but they give you an average MPG of the fuel, but for the life of me I can't see a fuel gauge, which is the only other thing, because you literally don't know how much petrol you got until your reserve starts flashing. There you go. So there's no other options on there. I can't change that, as I say. I will have a look when I park up and see if there's an option in the setting, but you'd think you've got an average MPG, they'd give you a fuel range as well. But you do get a lot of useful information on there. There's 3 modes as standard: dynamic, rain and road. Obviously the dynamic just changes the throttle response to the, you know, the standard road mode, so it feels a little bit more peppier. But actually it's a really nice bike. Obviously there's a fair bit of wind blast when you get up to national speeds with a lack of a windscreen, but you can buy you can spec these up to get yourself some little windscreens. Standard BMW heated grips, cruise control. I'll talk about this when we do the walk around, but they are obviously BMW, they are optional extras at cost, but yeah, it's nice to see that you can get this. They've also stuck the BMW Wonder Wheel on here, which I'm assuming is just for the sat nav, if you've got that, because it doesn't do anything on the screen. It's all manually operated by your up and down button here. So yeah, you've got the option for your BMW Wonder Wheel, but I'm pretty sure that'll just control your sat nav. But yeah, first impressions after 10 minutes, it's a lot comfier. I will say it's a little bit smoother than the R9Ts, which does take a little bit of character away in my opinion, but I am a little bit biased because obviously I've got an original NineT Urban GS, but no, a cracking bike. Okay, so here we have the walk around review of the R12 NineT. I'll tell you what, I'm going to get my R12s and my R19s mixed up, so I do apologise, but yeah, I've got one of my biking mates to bring out my own RNineT Urban GS, just so you can do a quick comparison to show you the difference. But anyway, the stats of this bike. So yeah, as I said earlier, it sits in BMW's Heritage range. Up until yesterday, I believe, or the day before, there were 3 R12 NineTs, but now they've just released that R12 GS, which is effectively the new one of the RNineT Urban GS, which I really like the look of, but I'll stick with that one because obviously I brought that pretty much brand new last year, and it doesn't warrant changing it in. But yeah, back to this one. So you've got, this is the R12 NineT, but you can also get the R12, which is more of a, I'm going to say retro because that looks like a retro bike anyway, but it's slightly different model, but effectively the chassis, the engine and the characteristics are all the same. So you've got the R12, you've got the R12 NineT, which is this one here. You've got the R12S, which is again, it's just got the racing cowl on it and things like that. But if you look on the BMW Motorrad UK page, you can see all the models, but effectively the bike, the chassis and the engine, it's the same. They're all just styling tweaks. And as I say, they've just released the R12 GS, which looks fantastic, and that's the one that I would definitely go for because I like my GSs. So this bike as base standard comes in at 14,420. All of the engines, as I say, they've tweaked them. It's the same 1170cc air oil cooled engine, same as the R9T there. But they kick out around 109 brake horsepower and 115 newton meters of torque. The bike itself is 220. BMW say that is fully fueled, but 220 kilograms on that. And the seat height on this is actually, it's really low, it's 795, so you can get your both feet flat on the floor really well. The colours that you get at the bike, so for the base model, which is the 14,420, you get that in the Black Storm metallic. You can get the San Remo green, which is what this bike is. I don't know if the camera's going to show it because it's really sunny, but you've got nice metallic green and aluminium there. That's an additional £250, or you can go all out, and what they've done is brought out a option 719 aluminium. That's an additional £2,100 on top, but obviously you get the colour, but you get slightly different frame, and then you get all the option 719 bling cylinder heads, brake levers, brake covers, all that kind of stuff as well, and that's why that's an extra kind of £2,000 on top of there. So that's what you get for your colours and your prices, and obviously BMW, everything that you add on it is going to add on to cost of the bike. You can get the comfort pack, which is an additional £980. For that you get your quick shifter, or Gear Shift Pro as BMW call it. You can get your heated grips, BMW heated grips, fantastic as always. You'll get your cruise control. It's not adaptive cruise control, it's just your standard on off with your manual adjustment there, and then you get your hill hold control as well, but I think because the seat's so low you'd be really confident even if you're on a slope with that anyway, getting both your feet down. But that's comfort pack at 980. You can pay an extra 280 and get the official BMW connected ride GPS mount. It just sticks on the side there, that will get wired into your ignition switch.
And then you can, with these, and I'm glad this bike doesn't have it because I think it will take away the charm of the bike, but you can, for an extra £120, get the little digital display dash, but on this style of bike I think everyone will agree that the clocks give it a little bit more character and charm, so you can do that. Not included in any of the packs, funnily enough, and as I say, it's how BMW kind of spec up different models of bikes and that, but you don't get a tyre pressure monitor system for that. You have to pay an extra £250. Say all BMW's got LED lights on there, but if you want the Headlight Pro, that is a further £200. So on the bike, cast wheels for this model. I think they're cast wheels for most of them. You can get an optional extra spoked wheels, and I think obviously when the R12 NineT GS comes out, that will come with spoke wheels up front. And I did read, actually, it comes with a 21-inch front wheel, so it is built for a little bit more off-road. But obviously I'm conscious this is a review of the R12 NineT, so I'm not really going to spend a lot of time talking about this bike, but I just wanted to show you side by side. They still both look uber cool. I don't think they've lost any character in upgrading the bike. I am slightly biased because obviously I own that one, and obviously as you can see, I'm starting to customize it as well. But what I will say, and what I would definitely swap from this bike onto there, is the suspension. That is so much more plusher. You're going along on the road with this and you feel like it breaks your back over every pothole or bump or lump. It's so stiff on there, whereas this one, I don't know what they've done, changed the shock or something like that up there, but it's a lot more plusher. So with this bike, you don't get any dynamic ESA, which is the electronic suspension adjustment or anything. There is obviously, same as the R9T, you've got your manually adjustable there for compression and rebound, and there are some screws down at the bottom there which will do your damping as well, but there's no electronic suspension across the R12 range. Obviously helps keep the cost of the bike down as well. So what I was talking about earlier, as I was riding back as well, so yeah, I do like the fact that you've got a lot more information on here than you have on the original. Get down to the fuel option, only gives you your miles per gallon, and there's no way of changing it. You would think that you would have a fuel range on there as well, so I either cannot figure out how to do it, but it's not in the setup option either, or BMW have, I think in my opinion, missed a trick there, because they've given you your average miles per gallon, but it wouldn't be that hard to give you a fuel range left in your tank. And that's probably my biggest bugbear of the R9T series or the R12 series. And like you say, it's not essential. You do get that 30-mile warning, but you sort of do 100-ish miles and you get that range anxiety. So I would have liked to have seen a fuel gauge on there, or at least miles till empty. And as I say, there might be, but I can't figure it out. Anyway, that's the end of the walk round review. Yeah, is a bit quick and rushed because I've only got the bike for a couple of hours, but yeah, overall a fantastic comfy bike. I would be putting a screen on there myself just to help with the wind blast, because you hit 60 mile an hour and you certainly feel it. But again, definitely completely different experience to that. The character and the feel is the same, but it has lost a little bit of its soul, I think. But I'm going to put that down to emissions. But it has got some nice touches over the older outgoing models there. But yeah, for me, I'll stick with my my NineT Urban GS. So we're going to hit the road again. I've got another couple of hours, so I'll see you back in a few minutes when we're on the road. And the big plus for me on this bike is a gear indicator. I'm forever changing up into false gears because I haven't got you don't get a gear indicator on the older 9Ts. Effectively, the layout of the bike is the same. There's just a few more modern tweaks on this, but so you get your SOS emergency intelligent call, which actually I think every BMW comes with that as standard now as a safety feature. But yeah, it's just a slightly more modern place to sit. But do you want that on a retro style bike? I suppose you. I mean, I like it because I like my tech and my gadgets and things like that. And as I say, the big plus for me is the gear indicator. I just wish it had a fuel gauge on it as well. And it might very well have, but I can't figure it out. So we're going to head off and find a little biker cafe somewhere, have a coffee and a bacon sandwich. And yeah, unfortunately only a short ride today, because usually I take these bikes back on a Monday morning, so I pick them up Saturday, and the dealership isn't open on a Sunday, so I've got the whole weekend, and I'll leave my car at Wollaston and bring the bike back. But I've got somewhere to be Monday morning quite early, so I just haven't got the time, unfortunately. So bit of a short review today, but should get everything that you need. But yeah, engine, it's fantastic. Still got that low down grunt of the Boxer. The torque and the power output is the same as the outgoing model. And yeah, handles fantastically. Quick shifter on this as well is a benefit. As I say, you could argue that all this modern technology takes away a little bit of the soul of what this style of bike is, and depending on how you feel about your bikes and what you want, you can kind of argue from both sides, to be honest with you. I'm all for rider aids and safety in an ever increasing world of safety and making sure that you're safe on the motorbike, but yeah, do you argue, does that take away a little bit of character and soul of the bike? But I think that's what this R12 NineT does. It still gives you the character of the soul, but just adds a little bit more creature comforts, so to speak. So because I'm combining today's review with a ride with my two mates, I'm going to go off piste a little bit, and it's just a couple of things to talk about while we're heading to the bike sanctuary for the bacon sandwich. But I think to sum this bike up for me, because I've got my RNineT Urban GS. Now you may laugh at this, but whenever I'm on my Urban GS, I always feel like I'm Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible, because he rode one and he's uber cool. And I'm not quite sure what the James Bond film was, and I'm not quite sure what the model of BMW he rode. I think it was Timothy Dalton, but I don't know what bike it was. But this is my James Bond bike, and my Urban GS is my Tom Cruise bike. But what I will say is the Tom Cruise Mission Impossible bike was slightly more cooler than the James Bond bike. And that is how I'm going to sum this review up. So the other thing I saw released on Adventure Bike Rider, there's some offers that Brittany Ferries are doing for bikes, I mean, and for cars as well. But it's a fantastic offer. So you can get 5 days in Spain, but it does include your 3 nights on your ferry. But for 155 quid, and it's based on 2 people sharing, so you'd have to find a biker buddy. But you can go from Portsmouth to Santander, and then on their website they've got about a dozen or so hotels that you can pick, but one of them is in Potes up in the Picos, which is somewhere we want to go and do some touring next year. So you can have 2 nights in there, and then you can get the ferry back from Bilbao back to Portsmouth, all in 5 days, and it's 155 quid. I mean, that's a crazy price. When we booked last year just for a ferry return, it was like 650 quid. So that's a really good offer, and that's running from the 1st of April until the 30th of June, and then obviously it will stop for the summer holidays, and it kicks in again the 1st of September to the 30th of October. So I'm going to try and see if I can buddy up with one of my riding mates and have a quick long weekend in Spain. But for me, because we've been a few times, I actually really enjoy that ferry. It's part of the experience and the holiday. So I don't mind sitting on the ferry for a couple of days, having a few beers, sailing south. Right, well, we've just had a nice cup of tea or a cup of coffee and a bacon sandwich. Yeah, bike sanctuary in Salsey Forest, just outside of Hartwell. give it a visit sometime if you're local. They've got a little cafe there. But anyway, so we're going to head back to Wollaston now, swap the bike over, because yeah, unfortunately I've only got it for a couple of hours. But yeah, thoroughly impressive bike. It's still got its character, it's still got its soul, still feels exactly the same as the outgoing model. So yeah, if you're interested in one of these and you're in the Northampton area, as always, pop along to Wollaston BMW in Northampton and speak to Will, and he'll hook you up. So I hope you've enjoyed the review of this R12 NineT. If you have, give us a like and subscribe to the channel. And I've got a trip coming up in a few weeks to Spain. I'm not going to say too much about it now, but yeah, we're going over to Spain and doing some enduro riding up in the hills. So I'm going to make a video on that, and that will probably be the next video that I stick up on the channel. But yeah, bye for now, enjoy the rest of your weekends, and we'll see you in the next video.